Hey Neppers, it's me, Wild Neptune. We just finished pulling for Star Anise, and we are going to test her out and compare her to some other common electric units in the game in the guild uh, boss thingy, just to see how she is going to do. Anyway, let's go. Okay, so to start with, I do want to just go with the normal team. So, Moran, Helm, Cinderella, Anise, and uh, Frost Maiden as the off burst. You might ask, where is Rouge? Um, I'll be honest, Rouge doesn't really see like you don't have to use her with Cinderella. It is an option because of the buff, but not always needed. Maybe we'll also test that out as well. If you're wondering on the stats of the unit, the Baron is right there, 7, 10, 10. Her gear is, not that great, unfortunately, but you know what? She's not there to do that much damage. Here is the crown. Some of her rolls are like not that bad, so right there. Cinderella, decent, okay gear. I don't have any attack on her, which sucks, but here is the Summer Anise, and you see it right here. Not that bad actually. Some attack, some elemental damage. The Maiden is positively awful, however, but she's just kind of sitting here. I've definitely put more work into Ada, but because I don't really want to do any sort of manual control with these fights, I'm just going to do it like this with scope lock on to lock me to level 400. And let's just go and see how this is going to go. Because it's actually been quite a while since I have done one of these. Oh, I just turned auto on too, right here. And you see all of the skill animations for the first time. And I might do another test too, like not just with electric characters, but with like some neutral characters also. So like maybe Rappy Red Hood, maybe some other ones, and obviously, this isn't gonna be the whole picture because Neon comes out in a week, and I'm sure that Neon is going to be very good when you pair her with the new idol Anise. But again, this is just going to be the like the baseline right here. This is what we want to compare the Anise teams to. So, and see right there, we're dishing out all of the damage. And yeah, really not that much to it. So I'm gonna let this run, and I will be back in a second with the results. Okay, so here we see we ended with just under 3 bill, and we have our damage numbers right here. As expected, the Maiden didn't do anything because, well, she kind of sucks for me right now. But we do have the Anise doing some pretty good damage. The Cinderella doing good thing, and even the Moran, despite not really having that many damaging stats, actually pulling out some okay damage. But let's just replace Moran with Star Anise or Anise Star, and see how that goes. So let's just go right here and click on this. Goodbye, and go to no, that's the free one right here. All right, and oh, I guess scope lock. I didn't know that scope lock makes them all max score. I didn't. I actually thought it only made them um level 400. Okay, well, cool. Anyway, if you're wondering, I used I saved like 40 rocks, okay, and I got a completely mediocre rolls. So, you know, some elemental damage, some crit. You know, a nice blue one right there, some charge damage, whatever. A max Elmo with an elemental on the top line, though. And then we have an attack. Only one attack, unfortunately. So, you know, not really that good. I hope I get some better stuff for the solo raid. But it is what it is. We do have 10, 10, 10 right here. And we are using a Bastion Cube onto her. So that is what is going to be on there. Anyway, let's get into the fight and see how this goes. Remember, our goal is to surpass 3 billion, which I don't think will be that hard to do here. But you know, you never know. Um, let's focus on Ennis though here on this side. I should have put Crown on the left, but it doesn't really matter, right? The boss doesn't do any damage here, but right here we go, and we are keeping on going, and right, I think at 2 minutes or so, maybe a little more, we will just see where we are at. Well, actually, we're approaching 1 billion already. And remember, this is going to be a fight that we need. So we're already like way ahead of schedule already. As you think right here, and Ennis is pushing out some good damage as a burst 1, by the way. Not as the burst 3, as the burst 1. So I think it's needless to say, we are going to surpass the 3 billion of the last team, but how much more, well, find out right after this. Okay, so 4.5. That is a 50% increase in damage. That is pretty nuts. Now, how much more damage did we do? A lot. We'll have to compare the actual two side by side at the end of the video, but just as 1.3 by Ennis by yourself is the first one is absolutely ludicrous. Now remember, my Moran is not really that great, unfortunately, so if you have a better Moran, the actual gap will be a little bit lower, but this is really, really, really good. Let's test out a couple more comps though, just to see how much more we can get out of Ennis right now. Okay, so this team, probably if you want to spread around your electric DPS a little bit more, I don't think this one's going to do as much damage as the last one. But, you know, I do want to try just to see, because, you know, maybe you don't have a character like Summer Ennis, because Summer Ennis is a limited unit, but none of these are, even though they are all programs, but besides Helm here. So we were just going to see how this goes overall. And yeah, just we'll go right into it. Remember, 3 bill was the basically full electric plus the crown, and 4.5 was what we picked up with the team when we replaced Moran with Ennis. So we'll just let this go and just see how it works. Remember that the only units now are the Ennis and the Cinderella. I think, you know, maybe for like the future you replace like Rapid Red Hood with Neon in this team, or maybe even Cinderella with Neon on this team, just depending. Remember, when we approach 2 minutes, anything that is like above a billion is like, you know, not that bad. Obviously, the opportunity cost of you know, not being able to use Rapid Red Hood or Helm on another team. But again, that means maybe we have like more electric units for another team, so we can actually do something in solo raid. Maybe not team 1, because in this solo raid, it does look like Ennis is going to be the team 1 burst 1, or at the very least the team 2, depending on how it compares with Siren, which is what we're going to compare it to also for this. But anyway, let's skip ahead and see how this team stacks up. 3.5, almost 3.6, so a pretty 20%-ish boost over the baseline team. See the damage right here. Reverie Red Hood, just for the sake of being Reverie Red Hood, doing pretty good damage on neutral. Cinderella, of course, doing the most, and even Anise doing some good damage as well. Obviously, I think if I was going to manual this, Mast would do more. Privity also would probably be a damage boost also with this team. But it is what it is. So if you're lacking some of the limited units, something like this is an option for maybe a team 1. Okay, so I do want to try it with the re-enter burst on. So we're gonna be using her with Rouge. Now, do I think this is gonna be great? No, not really. It's one of those things where I don't think the benefits of the re-enter is good enough to really merit using it. But I don't know, maybe it'll do okay damage. The real downside with the re-enter is that because she acts as herself a very strong what do you call it? Burst 1 with the same CDR as Siren, or Little Mermaid. It's why would he want to use another burst 1 with her? Like, maybe for some niche like stages, or maybe something for like PvP, something like that. But in solo raid, which is going to be the main endgame content a lot of players do, you don't really care about like the HP stuff in the healing quite as much. Now, unfortunately, my niece's defense and HP are not higher than Cinderella's, so she actually doesn't give her the boost, which sucks right now. But whatever. But you see right here that we are just basically keeping up with the first baseline team that didn't use Anise, and we are using a pretty decent CDR with the right here. What I maybe be too much to ask here, but like, what if she could be? What if like her CDR would still activate with 2 burst 1s if she did not have another CDR burst 1 on the team? So in that case, you could use like Exia instead, and I don't know, maybe that would be interesting, because Exia is a character that I really like that hasn't really been seeing a lot of play, kind of pushed like power crept out a little bit. So right here we are keeping ahead a little bit of the first team. So it does look like we will surpass the 3 billion by a little bit. Now, again, I don't think that's really worth doing, because I guess in this case, we are not using another burst 3 instead, but there is just so many burst 3s, right? Even like a neutral like burst 3 would probably be better than having the Rouge here, if I'm honest with you guys. But let's just see where this ends right in a moment here. Alright, so that test went 3.33-ish, so about a 10% increase over the baseline that would use Moran. You see the damage right here. So Cinderella doing a ton of damage, and here's the rest of the damage spread. Obviously, the Cinderella damage spread was going to be a little bit higher because of the Rouge that's going to be on the team. But again, I'm not really sure if mathematically this is worth doing, especially again because you are using a burst 1 CDR with another essentially burst 1 CDR to get this. But maybe it is. We'll have to do some testing when the solo raid actually comes out. Okay, so I did kind of want to make like a budget team. Unfortunately, Electric, more than I think any other element, just full of like limited units. So let's just go right here. You see Pilgrim, limited. Collab, limited. Let's keep going. PvP, PvP. Yeah, so electric is the PvP or limited unit, like collab, limited. You have iron, so you don't use actually use iron. So okay, so let's actually see if we can do something. Let's say you are like, really, really, a newer player, maybe free to play ish, right? Don't really have a lot. How much is Anise going to help you? Well, um, let us find out. Let's do that. We use Naga. I actually wonder how she works with Naga and what do you call it? Tia. Well, I guess I'll see. Right? We can test that out here. So right there, we need two burst threes. Let's put in um let's do it with Tia or without Tia, maybe. I don't know. Um Let's burst threes be they can't be anything like really special. So we had Ein, even though Ein isn't really that great. Um we can put it here. Uh Let us also put in this case, because we have Naga, we can put in Privity um instead of the helm. So maybe a little more damage. I mean, Privity, everybody is gonna have Privity eventually. And then I would say just Rapid Method, right? And even here, I think we'll put her into the because I actually think she's gonna out damage Ein in this case. But yeah. So this is like the poor man's. I say poor, but we still have like two O spec units. But I kind of feel like it's not too much of a stretch that a lot of players, even newer players, are going to have Reverend Red Hood by now, because I think everybody knows that she's one of the best units in the game. So this is going to be something that I would say you are probably going to expect a somebody who hasn't been playing that long to have. So like no collab characters, no limited characters or anything, and let's just see how this does. Actually, though, before we do that, though, we do have to have a baseline for it. So let us put in the Moran here. And remember, these are two treasured units, but that's the hurdle that everybody is going to have to surpass at one point or the other. Anyway, let's go here. Alright, so we are in the fight right now, and again, because this team is pretty scuffed, I don't really expect us to do a lot of damage here. But maybe we'll do a little bit of something. Here is the Ein going off, and there we go. Some nice true damage, which I don't really think does anything for this fight right now. And yeah, you see right now, we were like way behind that 3 build, but like we didn't expect to do a lot of damage here anyway. But we're just gonna keep it going just to see again. This is to see a baseline on what we want to have when I replace the Moran with the Anise, just to see how much more damage we do with this like pretty a team here that I feel like early to mid game players can achieve without again the call like music and stuff like that. So not everybody's gonna be playing for a long time, and not everybody's gonna have all the units. So this might be a little more realistic for some players. Anyway, let's skip to the end here and see the final results. All right, so 1.4, so a little under half what we did with like the full Moran team with the other ones. So here we go with damage here. Naga, everybody did do the most damage. I do a little bit of the Privity too. Do some damage boost right now. So let's just replace the Moran with Anise and just see how much more we are going to do here. So there we go, and here we go. I expect a substantial boost, right? Again, I don't think we're not gonna hit 3. Like that would be pretty nuts. That would be like a 100% boost. But we should do quite a bit more damage right here. Uh, so here we are. We are going. One team who I was interested in, I don't have them built though, so I can't do it, is with uh, Isabel and normal Arcana, that team with Anise. I don't know, maybe that would be like something that you might want to consider doing if you have them built. I've never really got around to it. Building characters is expensive, unfortunately, so that's why like I myself can't really be testing out things like average star as much as I would want to. Like I said, I spent like 40-ish rocks like getting completely mediocre rolls on Anisa's gear and everything. And I still have to do it with Neon coming up in a week. So yeah, hopefully we get some better luck pretty soon. But already we are approaching the 1 bill with, so we'll definitely surpass 2 billion, which is going to be pretty nice. But we'll see our final results in a moment here. Okay, so 2.1, which is about 50% more of the previous results when we replaced Moran. So about the same percentage damage increase across both teams, which is to be expected, I would say. Yeah, I mean, pretty good. Like, and this is just like a huge damage boost over Moran, just about in every single way. However, there is one last test we have to do. So the final test is going to see how she does as the burst 1 against a neutral opponent. So not electric weak. And this is going to be where we will determine how she's going to do outside of her electric weak solo raid coming up. So we're going to put her against the top one right now, which is basically Little Mermaid here. So let's just view the stats in case you forgot. Well, here is the Rappy Red Hood. Again, not amazing, but here they are. Here is the Siren right here. Again, not amazing, but here they are. We do have Raven right here, and her stats are actually not that bad, to be honest with you. Not the best. And then we have Helm, of course, pulling in for the off burst. So we're gonna just roll with this and see how much this does, and then obviously compare it when we replace Siren with Anise. So, and again, I'm not doing this all right now for the video, but this is all going to change in a week when Neon comes out. So just keep that in mind too, as the teams probably are going to be completely different. This is just all good fun and everything like that. So, all right, so right here, 2.86, just a little under the electric baseline. And we do have our results right here with about even between Rappy Red Hood and Raven. If Little Mermaid doing about 500 mil. So these are the damage numbers. And all we're going to do here now is simply replace Siren with Anise. If I can find her, let's go here and just see how much this is going to do overall. Remember that like 2.86-ish, 2.87 was the baseline, and we just want to find out if we're going to do a little bit more. And I actually don't want any predictions right here, so we're going to skip right to the end now. So here are the results, and see about 3.6, which is a pretty big boost. Not as big as the 3 to 4.5 we saw, I guess, the electric week. But this is, a pretty good substantial boost over Siren. You see that, yes, even though she only did like 250 mil above Siren, her damage boost to Rappy Red Hood, and I guess Raven too, because Raven actually did more damage, I guess because of the explosion, increased damage, stuff like that, for her. Pretty significant actually. So yeah, just maybe the best burst one in the game now. I mean, that's what it's looking like. But anyway, let's see the results side by side. Alright, just a recap. I apologize for the washed out images. It's just the HDR being weird with the screenshots. So here is the first team. We remember this one right here. So right here, between just replacing Anise for the Moron for Anise, it was a 50% damage boost, a little bit more actually. So, and then right here, we had the one when we just used her in just a, you know, a team like that was, maybe a little more, say, you might not have every character, but you are going to maybe not use some electric units in some other teams right here. So we got about 3.6, which is about a 20% increase in damage over the Moran team. And then we had one right here where we used her with the Rouge, which again, I don't think is worth it. So a little over like a 10% damage boost, so not that great. And then we had this like free-to-play thing over here. So 1.4 baseline right here, but we increased it to 2.1, which is the same 50% we saw over the last one with the more meta units. And then finally, we had one where we used our Little Mermaid versus her in the neutral stage, and this damage increase comes out to about 25%. So we did about 25% more damage overall compared to this. So yeah, like at least like 25%-ish better than Siren, you know? But anyway, yeah, that's all for now. If you enjoyed this and found this helpful, please, a like, comment, and subscription are all greatly appreciated. Anyway, I'm Wild Neptune. It's been a good one. Till next time.